Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Opening game and then struggling games 2 and 3 as that's rolled back to Matthews. Scoops and then over the first in time for the double play. That's hit sharply through the hole on the right side, rounding third. Here comes Cervantes. Cervantes in there to tie it up at 4.
3-2. Fly ball center field. Pham going back at the wall. He looks up and it's gone. A home run. On the 10th pitch of the at-bat, J.D. Martinez with a monstrous shot over the wall and straightaway center, and the Dodgers take a 2-0 lead.
High fly ball right field. This one's deep. Going back Gonzalez, looking up and it's gone. How about it? Kerry Carpenter walks it off in the bottom of the 9th with his 3rd home run of the year, and the Tigers have their 3rd straight walk-off win.
Siegenthaler knocks it back out to center ice, but Tatar brings it back in. Battles there with Mercer, slides back out to Miller. Miller out to the wing with a shot, and they score! Between the circles, the Rangers, as it's Vladimir Tarasenko that gets the first goal of the postseason for the Rangers, and they take a 1-0 lead.
Eric White deep on the left side against Trey Young. They run away from him, so he takes a quick 3 and drills it.
That's a great answer. Suns get the ball to Craig. They have time. 7 seconds. 6, 5. Craig to Booker. Booker, 3-point range. Booker fires. Shazam! It's good with 8/10 of a second left.
Hey, good morning. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. I have mine. Do you have yours? DB has his Dingman's Yeti.
Ding.
Not sure if there's actual coffee in there, though.
There is no coffee in here?
No.
No, there is not. I woke up to the smell of coffee and some.
Do you like the smell but not the taste?
It's all gravy. You know, I think there was some. I don't know. There's a big thing of like chocolate Ghirardelli something powder on the fridge and some coffee, and I smell it every
chocolate Ghirardelli.
Yeah, not my jam. The one with too many consonants in it. Why can't they just spell Ghirardelli like a normal person?
How would you spell Ghirardelli?
I don't know. A lot less consonants.
G-E-A-R.
A lot less consonants that's in that other one. I don't know.
A-D-E-L-I.
Exactly.
Ghirardelli.
It's a lot of extras going on.
No, sorry. There's like 12 letters that you missed.
Yeah, it's all good.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, man. It was wet. It's wet.
It was a wet evening, but it was showered with sports last night.
Yeah, did you? I see what you did there. Did you wake up?
I did wake up.
I did too. You're talking about a guy that's got a little sleep deprivation.
Yeah, normally I sleep right through storms.
I do not.
Yeah, I woke up halfway through the night, and then do you ever wake up? Because we get up
every moment
super early in the morning. Did you
something? Is that Grease? Shane, what show is that?
I don't know.
Me neither, because I sang it so horribly. But it's where I need my man Tim in Colorado to call in and blinded by the light. Tell me to stop singing.
Is he hurting after?
You know, it's like I think it's Grease.
Is it?
Every morning I wake up. I don't know the words, so I can't
Couldn't tell you. Could not tell you. Do you ever wake up?
You like singing movies.
So that doesn't mean I can tell you if it's in that.
He said, "You child." He said, "So." What are we? 7?
Yeah, it was on my list.
Hey, so
my list of animated movies. Would you not put Sing in your top 5?
No, that's terrible. Especially if you're coming up with a top 5 for animated movies. Not a chance. Sing it makes the cut.
No, so it wasn't in my official top 5, but it was in my carry-on top 5.
Carry on.
Speaking of, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, pay $50.
Yeah, I won't be carrying on a bag tomorrow.
I think it's $40 or $50.
Somebody out there tell me, how much does it cost to check my bag on American?
Do you know what Severe would say?
Google it.
Yep.
And that's what I should do, but I'm just not feeling it today.
Well,
I don't know. I'm living on the wild side. Although the Wild didn't play last night. I'm trying to connect all my words to just fit all the storylines of last night.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So just Just make sure we don't factor in your past behavior, because then you'd be like Draymond Green.
Nice. We're there.
Well, fudge, man. They're really going to suspend him for that?
Mm-hmm.
And then in kind of fine print on the news dump when you got the playoffs going on, you're like, yeah, well, he's got a history of. Dude, punish the offense, man. Punish the offense.
Just fine him. Let him play.
It's poop.
He's not learning anything by sitting out.
No.
He's not learning anything if he pays.
No, and
it's
I mean,
fine.
that's.
Just make him pay and then let him play.
So the one thing that he may do, but I doubt it at this stage of his career and at this age, he may be have a little more self-awareness, since we're on that term, and how he handles the aftermath of what happened. Because he didn't do himself any favors.
Selfish.
But you can't punish him for that.
No.
Well, if he just would have been more contrite, if he just a little more humility, I think we'd have been okay with Draymond. Like, really?
It's not his personality.
I mean,
it was just one lick on an ankle.
Stop grabbing people by the ankle. And then when you do step on a guy's chest, let's not act like that was a cool thing to do.
Yeah,
let's move on.
Let's also think, if this was a different sport, football, hockey, whatever it is, you initiate that contact, you grab somebody's ankle, you hinder them, they're going to react by either shoving you to the ground or
it's kind of crazy.
Whatever.
And then Sabonis over there faking. Like, the more I watch that thing over and the freshness has worn off, and I just got a chance to kind of watch it.
BS.
Exactly. Beauregard.
He's a good soccer player.
Mark Pelini. Mark Bow. Mark Bow.
I like Mark Bow.
I think that's what it is. Pretty sure.
No, you don't point the finger.
You point the thumb. How's that? Is that
we point the thumb.
No, you can't. Hey, you did it. I don't think people do that. You did it.
We're going to start it. We're starting a new trend because we're trendsetters. Everybody else out there.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is, but I don't believe he should have been suspended.
What do you?
Because I just don't think you should do something because you don't like a guy, right? Like if we all made judgments on how we felt about somebody, like regardless of why is he talking so loud? Shut up, little dude.
You can leave your headset on to do that.
I wasn't talking that loud.
I don't want to yell at our listeners here. Live from the H&H studio, people would be like, why is this guy yelling? Oh, that's totally on me. Black guys are so loud. It's their defense mechanism. Oh, angry black guys. Go ahead. You can chime in. It's okay. I give you I give you permission. Shane, why are
Don't raise your voice at me, DB.
Why are you yelling this early in the morning?
I just gotta keep pace with the guy that we're gonna have on line one here.
What?
Because he's usually a little bit.
Would you stop it?
He's usually a little bit loud and a little bit boisterous.
Do we need to calm down? I need everybody to calm down.
He probably needs to tell me that. I mean, he needed to tell me that last night.
Hey Shane, just welcome him in. You take it.
You want me to welcome him?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nah.
He just talked to him. Let's call early, man. Out of the gates. Let's talk to out of breath. I see what we're on today.
It's my going away party.
Yeah, here we go. No holds barred. B, good morning, man. What's up, Brian?
What's up, dude?
No, you set the stage to drop the ball like that, Shane.
I'm gonna have to reboot the computer again.
Here we go.
Look. Hey, Shane, we can hear that. I mean, while we're at it.
Strike one.
Yeah. Well, B, you just hang on 60 seconds.
Strike two. Last Thursday. Strike three on a Wednesday.
You're out.
How about
punch him the heck out of here?
Speaking about, we talked about the Rays going off to start the year, and then Jeffrey Springs needing Tommy John now.
Yeah, isn't that something? I mean,
talk about a huge loss. I mean, that was the AL Cy Young winner.
Okay, stop.
We're still not on that. After one start.
Stop. It is terrible, though.
No, it's not. It's really not fun to make fun of.
But man, like you talk about the momentum, all the wheels. My guy Kravmatic just invited me to his baby shower. He's decimated, devastated. What?
All right. I don't know if anybody just heard that, but I think
He
Shane
gets
banged his head against the wall.
He gets so mad. Listen, little dude. Is the system rebooting?
It's ridiculous.
Hey, is it just me or is his hat entirely too big for his little head?
No, I think he like propped it up because he got angry.
Are you good? Are you gonna go?
Come on, Shane.
You gonna go like Incredible Hulk on me?
Why the f is Shane walking in there?
Oh, he's steaming. He's not happy. No, that like, I mean, that is that's no bueno. I mean, this is his first time producing.
Am I getting punked right now?
Yep. It's almost
Is Ashton Kutcher going to come out?
It's almost
through that
like
door?
Shane doesn't know how to kill the audio from what he's doing from behind there. I mean, this is his first rodeo, right? Look, Claude, have mercy.
I'm not shutting down. This is a real show, right? It's past 7:00.
Yeah,
we've started already.
Is this thing on?
Are we going?
Is this thing on?
Are we going?
Yeah. So, I mean, terrible news for the Rays, but
You want to try and go with Brian here?
Yeah, let's try to go.
Is he here?
Oh, I
there
can
he
hear
is.
him. What's up, B? Good morning.
What's up, fellas?
Oh, just making fun of Shane, but he's getting mad.
Nothing new.
And I know he has control of the buttons, and he can make me look bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him go.
He could also just turn us all the way down.
I'm gonna let it ride. Shane, we're cool. Aired that. We're all right.
Yeah, we're cool.
B was. I don't want him going all Draymond Green on me. What's up? What's up?
Hey, that's what I'm calling about. I'm a little upset more with some media, people in the media, some locally here. I ain't gonna say. Well, I just peeked my head in on them. You know, I ain't checked on them in a little bit, but I checked in on them yesterday, heard him say something, and I was like, you guys didn't even watch it. You guys talk about Draymond yelling. Y'all know what he yelled? He yelled, yeah, in the face of people giving him the double birds, the F-bombs, and the physical threats, but everybody is concerned about his tone. That's like people getting upset. That's a feminine response to me, okay? All right, when people say your tone, what about the tone? What about the words? All right? If I yell at you, don't jump in the ditch, you worried about me yelling my tone? Or the words is going to save your life? Huh? People are idiots around here, man. I can't stand y'all. I told the guy, I said, y'all need to watch the show next time today before you come in here to comment, because they gave stuff out of line, out of sequence, how it happened. They made it seem like Draymond got kicked out the game and we just came there yelling at fans. And he was the only one that did something. Nobody said about that big old guy with the white beard with the glasses with the both of the arms up. Come on, what you want? And then I'm looking at him like, you not realize he might be smaller than some of them 7'3", but he's still 6'8", 6'9". Yeah. Did you not see when he put his fist in Jordan Poole's mouth? You want that too? Jesus. Ah. People need to shut up. I can see why people ain't at certain places no more. Okay? Right? And I'm glad. Don't go back. Have a nice day.
Thanks, B. Who wants the smoke? Wow.
Hey, Brian.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything.
So that's that right there, Shane. Why am I so loud? What is wrong with you back there, man? Start the morning over. Get your vape game right.
What do you mean? What's wrong?
Go out there and be like Puff the
Go out
Magic.
and vape.
Did you see the little
Come
puff
on back.
trail?
Yeah, I did.
That call right there, I feel like I am ridiculously loud. Goodness gracious. So that's originally why he was dubbed out of breath, Brian. My man used to come in with some heat and just drop it and keep it moving and hang up and
I like it
and be like, see,
I like his message.
So but
all the way through and stop.
But I get it though. See, I like, and I'm not privy to like what he's talking about, but I do think you need, because I was just going off air before the show started. Like, you can't punish him because you don't like him, right? Because do we listen? None of us really deep down want what we deserve. We're fortunate that we haven't gotten what we deserve, because it's not like all of us are walking around like with these halos on, like, super good guy. Like, I mean, we've had a little benefit of the doubt, a little grace here going on. Like, don't want to be in the habit of having people make decisions about you, whether they like you or not. Just look at what happened. You punish the offense. And it sounds like even in the NBA's like memo that they dropped, and I get it, they have to play soon, but it seemed kind of like a dump with playoff basketball going on. You talk about his history. I just don't know if you can. I don't love that, because I'm looking at what happened, and Brian is dead on. If you have any ounce of objectivity, and it's not about whether you like Draymond Green or not, but if you judge the response based on what was said to him, you can't be mad. You can't, with any sort of conscience, be like, oh yeah, I wouldn't have said anything. I mean, like, people really wanted to fight this guy, like, and it's amazing, like this double standard that we have and with athletes, that they should somehow not do they get a different standard, but can be held to a higher standard. Like, at the end of the day, people are people. And so oh man, she should have done this, or he should have done. Well, what would you have done? Right?
I can tell you this.
What would Barry have done? Barry would have been mad. And Barry keeps his cool, right? But Barry would have walked off that court. He would have been mad that somebody grabbed his legs. You don't expect that to happen real time in the game of basketball. You gave a reaction. You're walking off the court. You're getting a reaction. Now, listen, in an ideal world, and it's in this utopia, it would have been cool, man. Just head down, walk fast. Now here we go.
I got lower there.
You know, you in this like myopic world, cool, right? You walk off, you take your punishment. But the real world is the same reason that, and some of the same ways that they got to where that they've got, being passionate, being heated. I always love when we want people to hit the kill switch. Hey. You've reached the magic point. Turn off the testosterone. Calm it down. Stop it. Don't be mad anymore. No more aggression. No more competitiveness. Just stop it. You're not in a 20,000 seat arena. They're not driving you crazy. They're not wanting to fight you. They're not throwing things at you.
You can't clear the mechanism that fast? It's not like the movie?
Stop it. Get your act together. Get together. This isn't the playoffs. There isn't 7 minutes left in a close game. Hit the kill switch. Don't you know better? Like, what are we talking about? But nobody wants to have real conversations because it boils down to, well, I don't like the guy. I'm over Draymond being Draymond. I mean, come on, man. Like, are we really gonna act like it's a natural act for a guy to grab another guy? How do you know how you would respond?
Yeah,
do you practice that? Do you practice being on the court and saying, hey, listen, this is a heated moment. Just kind of knock my guy to the canvas. He's on the deck. I'm on the ground. I'm going to try to get out of the way. Hey, I want you to practice having your leg grabbed in the heat of the moment. Like,
DB, grab my arm. What is my natural response?
Yeah,
grab my leg.
Yeah,
what's my natural response?
You're going to be like,
I'm going to kick. I'm going to jab.
Get off.
It's a natural response.
Especially when it's an unnatural thing that happened in the moment. But we're predicting.
You're not expecting to have your leg grabbed.
So the worst thing that I think could have happened yesterday, and I'm not defending one or the other. What I am saying is I don't think he should have been suspended. I don't think, when I look at that thing in a microcosm, I don't think Draymond Green should have been suspended. Now, I am the guy, full disclosure, who was in a knockdown, drag-out argument over whether Draymond Green was even a Hall of Famer. I'm not a Draymond Green guy. Okay,
and you don't have to be.
Nobody, exactly.
You don't have to be to look objectively at the situation.
Anybody that's ever listened to me on airwaves knows I'm not a Draymond Green guy. I'm not. But he should not have been suspended for that 2 nights ago. No, and it's not about whether I like him or not. I'm just looking at what happened. The history doesn't matter.
Is it wrong when guys like this whoever it is. I mean, you could go all the way back to like the 80s.
You punish the behavior.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it wrong when guys like this use this as part of one of their tools in their toolbox to play?
Well, I mean, I think
that's part of the way he plays.
And I'm here for it. Hit me up. 888-638. Whatever our number is, 4876.
Nice.
I was having flashbacks of Bill angry mopping yesterday. Did you see Bill angry mop?
No. I didn't walk out there when he was doing it.
Well, I wanted to go say hi because I hadn't seen him in a while. My man was, steaming. Willie. He was like, the broom was going back and forth. It was wet on the floor. And I was like, Bill, we good?
No, you bet on the wrong guy for the Boston Marathon.
Yeah. No. I just think he wanted stuff done. But anyway, like in that moment, I'm not judging his character. Right. I'm listening to what he's telling.
Whose character are you judging though? The guy in the stands double birding, and he's going to be the guy that somehow surfaces on social media and loses his job. That's how it works.
So that's
how it always works.
Here's the thing, though.
Why, as a fan, you never react like that?
My favorite is because you make X amount of money or you don't make X amount of money, you're allowed to do and then fill in the blank. We have to stop that. We really do, because what happens is subconsciously it works on you. And so all the things that people don't like about, like, oh man, those badass little kids, they go get a job. You know what sometimes those kids have subscribed to? Well, we don't have anything, so what difference does it make what we do? Right? So you got to understand it goes both ways. And the trick of it is to hold people to people's standards. Right. There has to be some sort of baseline, and don't automatically slap expectations on somebody because of what they have or what they don't have, because it's a two-way street. So you can't not want to hold fans responsible because they paid their. I hear that. Oh man.
Well, they paid their money, so they can do whatever they want.
No, man. No, you can't.
TB, they paid $60.
Well,
in this case, they probably paid a lot more money.
You can, but that doesn't make you free of consequences.
Right.
And listen, I'm telling you, this has been me for 25 years. Right. I'm not running from any. I'm not running from any good or bad decisions that I've made in my life based on the status or where I was in my life. At some point, you just own it and you move on. And it's not about the repetitive, but I do get the past behavior, but you can't allow that to cloud your judgment. This isn't the court of law.
This isn't, hey, back 2 years, whatever it is, 8 months ago, 2 years ago, when Draymond throws a punch in practice. This isn't the same thing.
Do you know the equivalent? I'm dead serious. If Draymond would have 17 speeding tickets, okay, 17, and he gets his 18th, and he's going 61 and a 55, and you're like, man, this is your 18 speeding ticket. We're going to send you a message, even though it was only 6 miles an hour over, like you lose fact of what it was. So you punish him this ridiculous amount because of the isolated incident, because of his past behavior. Do you really want that? Be honest. Do you really want that?
It's a lot of speeding tickets.
No, but you don't want that in your sports, do you?
No.
Do you want that in your sports?
No.
Okay. I'm just asking a question.
We'll ask Michigan Lance too. When we come back, we'll also set up the show. More CNC next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
My leg got grabbed. Second time in 2 nights. Referees just watch it. I got to land my foot somewhere. And I'm not the most flexible person, so it's not stretching that far.
Hey, before we get to Michigan, Lance, hold right there. Lance, I want to set up the show. We will talk.
Oh, you don't have to explain that. He's good. Just let him sit. Let him percolate like our coffee from the beatery.
He'll be all right. I'm just kind of sitting deep thought. We will get into our thoughts regarding Nebraska football and what we heard yesterday after practice. I think it's really funny, DB, how timely this show can be sometimes to what we then hear later on in the morning.
Yeah.
I will just say that much. So we will get into that. We will talk.
Hey, save that. That's a good tease. You got me wondering.
Yeah, we will.
Should I stick around?
Please, because I don't want to do this alone.
I don't want to be alone.
Brian Chrstopherson coming at 8 o'clock as he does every Wednesday. Kevin Sjuts at 8:30. We'll talk to Kendall Rogers, managing editor for D1 Baseball at 9. A little bit of college baseball, which I'm excited for.
We're talking baseball.
I don't even know if that's how the beat goes.
Do you believe in Wake Forest?
Rake Forest, you mean?
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Man.
Yes, and the reason I do is because they have the best pitching in college baseball. We will touch on Nebraska Creighton because the weather had a little touch on last night's outing too. And we'll play two for you to close out the show. Always fun to have you on a Wednesday joining us here, 590 ESPN Omaha. We're live on Twitter, live on YouTube. And let's go to the phone now and recap what we were talking about in the first segment and get Michigan Lance's thoughts. Lance, good morning.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Ooh, DB. Hey, that argument you had about Draymond Hall of Famer deal. Hey,
do you remember that?
Oh, I do not, because I wouldn't have partaked in that conversation. That's that old adage. Well, if you're arguing with the fool, then who's the fool? Because there's no way, shape, form, or fashion that Draymond Green, just because he's a good role player, doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer.
Listen, I was in the minority. Like I'm pretty sure everybody. I think I was the only one, and I'll probably be wrong. Like he'll probably be a Hall of Famer. I just don't think he is.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you. He's not at all. He will, because he'll go in. He may go in because he was with the dynasty, but you were a role player at best, man. Like that's not Hall of Fame worthy.
Were you like hearkening back to our arguments about who was it? Horace Grant and
Horace and who was that? Horace and Chris Bosh?
Listen.
Yeah, Horace and Chris Bosh.
Michigan Lance got kicked out of the barbershop for being belligerent.
For being pro Horace Grant until you looked at them stats.
There's only 4 people in the whole barbershop, and they're steaming at Michigan Lance.
Was it the glasses?
No, he just came in barking, and they weren't having it.
Hey, man. Hey, people discredit Horace in that first three-peat with the Bulls, man. That was a big 3. Horace was really, everybody talk about when Jordan got Scotty. No, Horace was in there, too, to help Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't think Horace was a slouch. No, I am a Jordan guy. But I'm just not. I'm not for people who think Jordan did it all by himself and didn't have a great coach and other surrounding and supporting cast.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be wrong, because my NBA knowledge is lacking.
Go ahead.
Jordan didn't make the playoffs in like his first 3 years, right?
I think 5.
Oh, yeah, he was swept. Oh, yeah, it was a lot.
And so
it took him a long time to win.
Right, and I think that's like the crushing point to it all.
Well, if you watch The Last Dance, they edited that thing real great. Oh, he went off for 60 against Larry Bird and the Celtics, but lost by 20. But they cut it off. They cut that part off. It's like, well, yeah, you look great if everybody edits all your losses. I mean, you look like you've been undefeated your whole career. That's not true. He was getting swept by the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, wow.
In the 80s.
Here we go.
Anyway.
Shane, what'd your guy say in Star Wars? Let the hate flow.
It's not hate. It's truth when it's facts. It's facts. Anyway, hey, Draymond
and DB, do what must be done.
Do what must be done.
So, hey, my guy from Star Wars, yeah, most definitely, Palpatine.
Whoa! Are you in that? Are you in that Star Wars clique too?
Yes, indeed. Oh, most definitely.
You going to Comic-Con?
Any kid? Nah, I'm not that far. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going there, but I'm not dressing up doing all that. But I am definitely a fan. I'm all in. Mandalorian, Andor, all that stuff, man. Yeah, I'm in there.
Okay.
Most kids my age are, or adults my age, I guess. But anyway, Draymond, right? So And DB, I'm with you in the utopia because DB likes to live in utopia land.
That's a lie,
Andrew.
That's a lie.
And so when he says, "Hey, can we just judge people on what they do in the moment?" Like, yeah, that's utopia. Like, but
no, it's not.
We know, but because we don't do that though.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying? Like, in a perfect sense, I'm with you. I would love that.
But
every
I'm not
time.
okay. Hang on. You know what? You know
Go
me.
ahead.
I'm gonna put on my surgical gloves and my mask, and I'm gonna cut this thing up real easy.
Go ahead.
In the moment.
Yep.
Which one of the two had the more unnatural reaction?
Oh, most definitely the first one. Yeah, the grabbing.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Yep.
That's not that hard, and that's not utopia. That is not that hard to see. Who had the most unnatural response in that 6-second sequence? It would have been.
So you're saying he should be suspended too?
How can you?
Draymond
What I'm
not?
saying is, how can you suspend Draymond and nothing happened to Sabonis?
Okay,
that
so
makes it personal.
Right. So, well, here's the thing. We work with kids, and we work with a lot of kids, troubled kids in our history, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've
By
given
the way,
them.
thank you for fielding that call the other day. That's about at wit's end.
What's that?
Oh, coming up.
Oh, yeah. Exactly, yeah. And so, is it? Okay, is that a good thing? Are you saying that in a good or
no? He's just gonna have to get it together, man. We gotta tighten it up.
Okay, hey, keep working it through. All right, so Draymond,
what is
right?
happening? I'll tell you later.
Right?
I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later.
Right. So, okay. So we work with a lot of kids, especially that have troubled backgrounds, and we've helped them through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And me and you have probably been the ones that have given them a lot of rope. But still, though, they built up equity of bad behavior or things that they done where it's like, all right, man, like you got to get more. Now I have to punish you. You know what I mean? More because you keep this behavior or things going on.
Like when you pulled me to the side and said, "DB, stop! You can't save them all."
Right.
Yeah, I was mad at you.
Yeah, sooner or later you have to be accountable for your continued behavior.
Yeah.
And so that's what's so now how they worded it, that was not good, but that's what's happening with Draymond. He's also been in times where he's barking at refs and they let him go, and I'm like,
what? So does Luka Doncic. So what?
Right, I'm with you. Right, exactly. So we know it happened, whether it's Rasheed Wallace. Once you get a reputation on your behavior, these are your actions that you've done, and it's repeated. Yes, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt anymore.
But my point is, I'm not really disagreeing with you. My point is, why would you hold one? Because this is what you're saying. In one vein, you're like, oh man, Draymond, you've earned this behavior. You are
right.
Usually the best indicator of future performance is past behavior. I don't disagree with that, but why do you not want people that are overseeing or officiating or in the front office of the NBA? Why do you not want to hold them accountable? So in one instance, you want Draymond Green's past behavior to affect the outcome, but you don't want to hold judge and jury accountable for staying in the moment. Why do they get a different sort of responsibility or accountability for what their role is versus what Draymond does? So for as much as you want Draymond to be punished for past behavior, you should want people executing decisions to be able to stay in the moment. It's not a two-way street.
No, I definitely agree with that, but that's not what we live in. And Sabonis,
so we have to accept it? So we have to accept it?
I'm not saying we have to accept, because I keep bringing up the points and throwing it, and most definitely. But Sabonis gets the benefit of the doubt, though, right?
No, because I have eyes. I see better than I hear. No. How does he get the benefit of the doubt for grabbing a guy's leg? Because he's only done it once?
Because he doesn't have a history.
Stop.
He gets the benefit of the doubt because he doesn't have a history of repeated those behavior, those offenses.
Okay.
It's just like if you're a student.
If I'm only
it's just like if you're a student and you have referrals.
Twice, man, it's out the window.
We'll be back.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, welcome back, 888-638-4876 if you'd like to get involved at any point. We've had a lot of involvement so far, and that's what we like here on the show.
Hey, listen. Oh, man. You know my knucklehead buddy, Oklahoma Tyler, right? He goes, well, first of all, he had a few choice words for Lance, but so do most of my friends. He says, so this is his personality to a T, Tyler.
What's that?
Stop, Lance. We
are making moves out here.
He goes, I'm a root cause guy.
Yes,
indeed. Like at the core, that is seriously who Timos is. And he goes, he doesn't get his leg grabbed, and he doesn't step on him. It seems pretty simple. The reason it's not so simple is because people think I'm being myopic about how the situation should have been handled, like his past behavior. And how about the verbiage from the NBA? Like, that was bad.
Yep. And this is what I told you.
So we're letting that. So this is my point.
Right.
We're letting everybody else off the hook because we think Draymond's a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not right.
Right.
That's not right.
And that was actually the point that I saw that Lance made, was the fact that this is how like the game operates. But now to follow that up, I agree with you. You shouldn't have to say, well, because it happens that way doesn't mean it's right. But here's where I kind of sit with everything, and it's unfortunate, but whoever instigates it tends not to get punished.
Yeah,
like in all sports across the way.
Because we speak it into existence.
Well, because
the
latter always seems like more.
Even when you say that, it's almost like, hey, that's just the way it goes. It's not intentional, but even in your even in your delivery, it's just real matter of fact. Hey, second guy always gets caught. We hear that 16 broadcasts a Sunday in football. Second guy always gets caught. At some point, do you realize? So
at some point, can we say the first guy gets caught?
Whoa! That's why I'm so. I'm telling you, sure as I'm sitting here. That's why I like to promote individual free thinking. Like, so what that it's always been that way? Can we say something different? Can you say, hey, listen, hey, I know historically, second person always gets caught. You can't retaliate. No. How about you not be a dickhead in the first place?
Mm-hmm. That was in essence the game plan last night for Tampa Bay was to let the other team, because you knew it was going to be a rough game, was to let the other team just start the fights.
Like, why is that so hard?
Mm-hmm.
Even in your delivery to me, it's just free flowing. Hey, second person always gets caught, because we've allowed that over time to be what we say. Mm-hmm. And you know what? We should at some point just nip it in the bud and say, hey, you know what?
Especially in that moment,
if you're an instigator, you should be equally as. And then we say that over and over and over and over and over and over again for like 3 years. And maybe we'll go back when we look at the tape and we'll say, hey, what was the root cause?
Especially in that moment, too, you went to the monitor. You went to look at it, right?
Yeah.
You saw what happened, and then you go to look at it. And then you hand out flagrants, right?
Yeah.
Well, why was one more egregious than the other, and why don't you look at it with a perspective of, hey, this came first? Would, like, if I say DB, we're reffing the game together, like, DB, would you react like that? Like,
it's like, what are we talking about? Hey, this guy must know he's co-hosting pretty soon.
Let's bring him on. I'm assuming Oklahoma Tyler.
Yeah, I think this is Oklahoma Tyler. Oklahoma Tyler, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, fellas?
Oh, here he goes.
What's going on, man?
I just don't like, why is Andrew so anti-Draymond? I don't understand.
Yeah, you know what? I hate him. I hate the guy.
Yeah.
Can't stand him.
It feels like that. I think we all know at the end of the day, this is the NBA trying to control the narrative and making sure Golden State doesn't come back.
Oh, are you a conspiracy guy? Now, this is news to me, and I've known you forever.
Hey, next you're going to say somebody didn't land on the moon.
All right, wait a minute. T-Mose, are you
that's fake.
Now, keep in mind, this guy is bagging millions upon millions of dollars in deals in his real job. So he's not crazy. He's not crazy. Well, maybe he is.
I know I am.
That's debatable. It is debatable. But are you serious with this? You think this is a conspiracy?
I think it weighs into it. Like, they don't, Draymond, I mean, they gave the Cavs a title by suspending Draymond once. Right?
Yeah.
Like, do they really want to take the risk of Golden State and the Lakers in the second round? I don't know. A lot of questionable stuff going on.
Hey, listen, are you ready for this weekend or what with the 3SSB coming?
I think so. I mean, the teams looked good last weekend. 16's are nice. 17's are really good. The but quality of competition gets ramped up. So I'm excited to see how they do.
How many teams are we expecting on? Because we're going to talk to Mitch on NEB Preps with Jacob. How many teams are you expecting, and considering if flights go okay?
I want to say there's about 32 per age group at the 3SSB level, give or take a team or here or there. But so it should be about 90-ish.
And you're prepared to handle it?
Yeah.
It didn't seem very confident. Yeah.
yeah. I'm prepared for the basketball side. The other stuff, hey, man, talk to Mr. Albers about that one.
Hey, so let me ask you real quick. So, are you okay with nobody saying anything about Sabonis?
No, because he's done it. He did it. Like, he started it all. Like, it's like the guy who throws a punch but then gets knocked out, and it's like, well, he got, it's okay. He didn't do that much damage. He didn't almost hurt, he could have been hurt by being stepped on or kicked. Apparently he was stomped on.
Wow.
Come on. Stomped on. I think we're like the narrative that the media tries to create with some of this stuff is like that Draymond was standing there just stomping on a man's chest.
And
come on, the guy had his leg.
Tyler, I got a question. I'm going to go back on something that you said because I don't know why. Sometimes I'm slow. I have to think a little bit. Wouldn't the NBA want?
You filled in well with DB.
Wouldn't the NBA want the Lakers Warriors to play because of the ratings and the revenue that could come with it?
No, I think there's too much. I think they want the Lakers in the conference finals. I think it's too risky.
Oh, so you're saying that if they do play each other, GSW wins?
Yeah, for sure.
So it extends further. The conspiracy theory goes further.
I don't know, man.
Okay.
We're going to have to talk this weekend, man. Be safe out here in these streets.
All right. I'll try. I'll try. Me and
Hey,
Draymond
thanks, man.
will be out
Thanks
there.
for the call.
Oh, shoot. I don't know about that. He doesn't strike me as a conspiracy theorist guy, but he does always kind of have for as out there as he is, at the end of the day, he's fairly logical. That didn't sound great. I liked his first point because I'm with him, right? Like
that no one landed on the moon, or
yeah, he kind of slid that in.
Yeah,
but you never know if he's serious or not. I'm gonna have to sit him down when I see him Friday at the gym and be like, "Were you serious about the moon?" Because
please let me know. Shoot me a text,
dude. He handles big time contracts. I hope he's not serious.
It's one of those moments where it's like, you show me your pay stub right now, I quit my job, I work for you.
Oh man, I my favorite. People get pretty mad at Michigan Lance, and I think
that's your favorite.
No, because I think at the end of the day, what he's trying to say is,
thank you, DB.
I think he wants people to be held accountable, but I got that part of it. But I want all people to be held accountable, not just the guy or gal that has the more accountable history. If everybody, when you look at the film, you should be held accountable. When you're officiating the game, you should be held accountable. It isn't just the guy or gal with the bad track record.
You know what he should have said about Draymond?
What?
Get him out of here.
Unfortunately, it's just one of those things, DB. It's one of those things.
That's not true.
Hey, Shane, can I change gears real quick before we talk to BC?
Well, you know what Lance would say.
We are making moves out here.
Yes, I'd like to move on to the next thing.
What are we moving on to?
I can't find it now because Shane drives me crazy by keeping me.
Hey.
See, it's stuff like that.
What's that?
Nobody's that good. Shane.
Yes, indeed.
That one was already played.
Okay. Hey, before we talk to BC, Shane, can you please play? Because this is what I want to get into it first with him this year. Can you please play Satterfield? Because we got a lot of Satterfield yesterday.
Oh, I see.
Can you please play Satterfield clip 7?
No.
Jerk. Is it longer than 29 seconds? Thanks. I guess we got to go to break. I'm going to kill this kid. I am. At some point of this working tenure, he's going to come up missing.
That's a good thing.
And I'll have gone to my Jekyll and Hyde. I try to stay on the good side 90% of the time, but the 10% bad is awful.
You know what's going to happen then?
What's that?
The NBA will suspend your ass.
Oh, is that
everybody's fired up today?
Go back to your peanut butter fort, Shane.
We got to get a little mild-mannered BC. He'll calm us down.
Yeah, he probably will.
Maybe he's fired up too. Lakers conspiracy theorist.
Brian Chrstopherson up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes.
Big physical. Eric Crouch was at practice today. He's a little bit bigger than Eric was, but I mean, just he's not scared to get downhill. He runs like a running back. He's a big kid that has his superpower is running the football and being physical. Big physical. Eric Crouch was at practice today. He's a little bit bigger than Eric was, but I mean, just he's not scared to get downhill. He runs like a running back. He's a big kid that has his superpower is running the football and being physical.
Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Big physical. Eric Crouch was at practice today. He's a little bit bigger than, Eric was, but he's not scared to get downhill. He runs like a running back. He's a big kid that, has his superpower is running the football and being physical.
Coach Marcus Satterfield yesterday after practice. We appreciate the audio, courtesy of Hail Varsity's YouTube page. Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, Shane Schillerberg. We are live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Brian Chrstopherson, right now, senior writer for Husker 24/7, joining the show. Brian, we've had an adventurous first hour, and we need you to help us dial back in.
We're gonna gas the fire. B Sizzle, what's up, buddy? That's gonna be your new nickname for this segment. B Sizzle.
B Sizzle. That sounds cooler than a guy like me looks, but
lot of hot takes. Hey, so B, why do and maybe it was because it didn't come from the head coach, but shoot, remember a long time ago, one coach compared somebody's athletic prowess to an award winner by the name of Dave Remington.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, a coach compared some talents to a Heisman Trophy winner by the name of Eric Crouch. Instead of being upset about it, we're like, oh my gosh, I think we've got a running QB. What's the difference, BC? It seems to kind of all been in the same vein. We were mad at one guy for saying it. We love that the other now said it yesterday.
Hot take.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't mad when Scott said it either. Because in a way, maybe he didn't turn out to be Dave Remington here, but that would be something that staff, I think, made the right move on. A lot of people criticized them for a year or two with the wayward snaps Juergens had about, well, that was a stupid thing. Think about what he'd be doing at tight end right now. And now he's in the NFL playing on the O-line, waiting his chance with the Eagles, but he's going to get it.
Now start this year.
Yeah. And the comment the other day about Harburg, I think mostly he's talking there just about his stature. He's a real impressive kid when you're next to Heinrich. Has been that way since he was first a prospect. And anybody who thought that was just like some, I guess, spring fluff story that he's not in the mix or at least pushing the competition, they should reevaluate that opinion.
Speaking of pushing the competition, greatness, recognizing greatness yesterday when Satterfield paid a big compliment to Tony White about matching up one-on-one and how he kind of said I wouldn't want to be the guys playing offense against that defense every single week. It goes back to iron sharpens iron, but not just for the players, but for the staff.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to go against somebody who makes you think through some things and makes your team on the fly have to work out kinks in March and April. And you would assume Tony White's defense, we're still trying to figure it out, but from what we've heard about it, gives you a lot of different, as Satterfield said, fronts and coverages and just, the way guys move around. And frankly, the guys are changing positions a lot still throughout the spring. It is probably hard to dissect it sometimes. I think the most encouraging thing, though, is that scrimmage on Saturday when you heard Rule afterwards say, yeah, the defense probably won the day. And that was after the offense earlier in the spring had kind of gotten the better of things where the QBs ran nuts, it sounded like. So I think it sounded like they're playing faster on that side of the ball. And guys are starting to kind of get what they're supposed to get out of that scheme. And so I always like in the spring or fall camp when you hear the coaches talk about it sort of being a volley back and forth between the offense and defense. And we've heard some of that this spring. So, take that as far as you want, maybe not too far down the road, but it does mean something. I think it's better than just one side of the ball just owning the other side. Although I do believe back in the great days, there was a year where I don't know, Damon maybe can attest where an offense or defense just crush somebody for almost an entire spring. Maybe that does happen sometimes, but
Yeah,
I kind of like
that would be the spring of '94.
See, I knew there was one. What was it? Who got was it defense? That
Yeah, defense kicked our tail. And anybody on offense that says anything different is lying, because there was one practice where we had to start the whole gosh darn thing over. I mean, go back in the locker room, kind of sit by your lockers, go back in, start it again, because we were getting worn the heck out.
Yeah.
They were at 90. That was it's a pretty good defense.
As a coach, though, don't you like when it's more of a teeter-totter, when it's back and forth throughout?
So yes. So the easy answer is yes, like generally speaking, but sometimes it depends on what's in the hopper. Like, what do I think I'm getting? Where do I think we'll be? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take a little teeter-totter unless I know I'm about to get a couple of fellows on one side or the other and the pendulum's about to swing. Right.
Okay.
So that would be like my only caveat. But let me ask you something here, because you're real even keeled, and I'm kind of excitable. So it seems like the first 5 or 6, 7 weeks, it was Jeff Sims. And I felt like I was kind of like Gilligan and the crew out on an island where I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. Casey's kind of a quarterback that makes you uncomfortable to be on the sidelines. Remember that? And then once spring started, we kind of heard a little bit about turnovers. We know it's not Casey, right? We've heard the positive talk about Harburg. But I was the same guy that asked you the question. Remember months ago when I said, is it weird? Do you get the vibe that he likes Jeff Sims because of familiarity with Jeff Sims? Is it a Collins deal? It seems like we've anointed Sims the quarterback. I say all that to say on April 19th of 2023, now it seems like we backed off the Jeff Sims as the quarterback talk. Is that me? Is that just me? Because neither side has really a great case.
Mm-hmm.
Just time has happened.
I don't think they've publicly given a lot of information that should allow anybody to just boldly say one thing or another. That's what I would say. I mean, I do think you're right that there's been an assumption kind of, I don't know when at first the assumption
it was all the good praise, right?
Yeah. At first, the assumption I thought with the general public when Casey announced he was returning in December, or his father said he was going to return, I think there was initially like, okay, Casey's going to be the guy, and then maybe Jeff Sims after that. And then I think I don't know when it turned, but it did. And it started to become like, oh, well, they really like Jeff Sims. The way Rule, spoke about watching him at Georgia Tech and just his skill set. He can be a next level guy, all that stuff. And you're right. I do think most people sort of settled on, yeah, that's like how it's going to happen. Casey's sort of out of sight, out of mind. And the way they talk about Casey can run the ball too, I think, but the way they, discuss wanting maybe like a bigger, maybe a guy with bigger stature that helps you out a little bit at that quarterback spot. So maybe that's where some of that comes from. But I'll tell you what, Casey just keeps going into the lab and learning from everything we heard. And he loves the mental part of the game very much like his coaches. He likes the situational stuff very much like his coaches. So I don't know how it's going to all turn out. I don't want to act like this is a done deal by any means, because I don't think it is. And then Harburg's an interesting wild card. I just don't discount when you hear his name pop up as much as it has from the coaches. And I also remember a very early Rule press conference. He said, one of these days we'll play a walk-on at QB around here. Don't be surprised when it happens. And his point was like, one of these days there's going to be a year where whoever the best guy is, we're not going to care about what the resume was going in or this or that. There's going to be surprises along the way in position battles. So be prepared for it. So I've always kept that in mind.
I think it was the situation why everybody assumed Jeff Sims over Casey, because Casey wasn't going to be there most of spring. Casey wasn't going to get all the reps early on. So people assumed and went Jeff Sims' way because of how, as BC said and you said, how Coach Rule talked about him.
But guys, maybe I'm misremembering.
I said early on, because I may be thinking exactly what you're going to ask. DB asked me who I thought would be the quarterback. I said Jeff Sims. Mm-hmm. I answered that. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month later, he asked again. I said, I actually think it's going to be Casey. So, like, my mindset changed, but I was with the general public and saying that because of the situation.
BC did, and I asked you, and I asked Drew down too. I said, are we doing this because of all the praise in the press conferences about Jeff Sims? Because I thought that's all we really had to go by. I think people were saying that he lit up over Jeff Sims. And I asked you, should we read into that? Or is it just out of sight, out of mind because Casey isn't around in the spring? And that was early.
Mm-hmm. And that was the way I went, was Casey wasn't going to be there getting the reps. So I'm going to give the leg up to Jeff.
Does that ring a bell, BC?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I do legitimately think they're fired up about Jeff Sims and what he can be. But I go back to it. We have not seen practices, most of us. You've seen probably a couple, but I haven't, aside from like 20 minutes here or there. I do not have enough insight from, first off, haven't seen those who's doing what. Mm-hmm. And also just what's been said. Like, I mean, up until yesterday, Satterfield talked some about the quarterbacks because he coaches them, and he was asked specifically about Jeff Sims. And he said, we had two main focuses this spring with Jeff. Or there were two big focuses, he said, and that was bringing the completion percentage up and limiting turnovers. And he said his answer was that both those things had been solid, good. They'd made progress there. But then he said those really flattering things about Harburg as a runner. And it sounds like that has really shined throughout the spring from what we've heard. And so I guess the most I can say about the QB situation is I don't know if my needle has moved up or down on Jeff Sims. It really hasn't. Probably the guy that it's changed with is Harburg. Like before, if you had told me like a month or two ago, like where's he at in this mix, I wouldn't have completely discounted him because he was getting a fresh start. But he wasn't like top of my mind as like a guy necessarily in the top 2 or 3 of this competition. And now I feel like whenever it comes to the QBs, maybe we're not asking about the other guys enough. I don't know. But it always seems to center on Jeff, Heinrich, and then when's Casey coming back? And it feels like there's your trio.
Shane, play Satterfield 10.
Richie, you caught me off guard with the Richie right there. Just to go and play in front of people. You know, a lot of these guys haven't played in front of crowds like they're going to get to play in front of, and just how are you going to respond to that? Is your snap count going to be loud enough? Just are you going to be able to handle the moment? So it's going to be good to get those guys in competitive situations and an environment like we're going to have is going to be a real game day here on Saturday. I think it's going to be great for all positions, but especially that quarterback position and Richie that's not really gotten to, experience that yet.
Fact or fiction, BC? Are you kind of in on the Torres intrigue?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen him hardly. So, yeah, of course, I want to see how he does in that environment and just functions in the basics of being a quarterback, because all I've seen him do are like, little not little to them, but to us with the like footwork drills and, 10-yard passes. So I don't know a whole lot about what has happened with his game over the last year or two. I do know people can decide they don't care about anything that happened with the last staff, but there's still prospects on this team where it matters how they evaluated those guys. And Richard Torres was a definite favorite of that coaching staff. Like, they really liked his skill set. They think he can move better than people know, and he can zip it. So, yeah, the fact that he was always one of their top guys in that recruiting class, I never forgot that. And you just hope, like, sometimes guys like that, especially at a position where there's one ball and there's 5 or 6 guys trying to be the guy who gets to, be the man. You just hope a guy doesn't completely get lost and you never get to see what he can really do. So it seems like all these guys have at least got some ample reps. And Saturday would be a big chance for Torres to sort of introduce himself to the public with just a solid day and get people like, oh, yeah, there's that guy too. So I think it is an important practice for him.
We're talking to Brian Chrstopherson, senior writer for Husker 24/7 at Husker 24/7 BC on Twitter. Speaking of some of that Saturday scrimmage, and we talked about this a lot on Monday in regards to situational football, those situational moments, and putting focus on that. How refreshing, BC, is it to have a coach like Matt Rule really standing by his word and saying this is going to be a spring of competition, and more importantly, competition in situational moments?
Yeah, I love that. I loved how he said, if I made these guys just go run 30 gassers just to run gassers, it'd be an annoying process. Guys aren't too fired up to do it. If you change the dynamic of it, you say, who's the fastest guy on this team if we do this? And then there's that carrot to like prove that changes everything. Then everybody's fired up to do that sort of stuff. So it's just like how you present something makes all the difference in the world. And I thought Saturday's post-practice session with Rule was the most interesting media session we've had the entire time. I just thought for like 17 minutes, you could tell he was wound up coming off the field from the scrimmage. And the part that I think was just music to the ears of Husker fans was when he explained the very end of the practice, your defense wins the day, most of the day, but they hadn't won it yet. And you have this drill where it's inside the 10. You're going to say, okay, we're going to pretend there's 9 seconds, no timeouts, 2 plays. Defense actually stops them. But no, somebody does something boneheaded, so there's a penalty. So they get one more, shot at it. And I just like he tells the offense, if you score, you're running in the locker room. Let the defense on a day where they've had things go their way, they still didn't make that last play, and the offense did. And that's Nebraska fans can picture that moment because that's Nebraska football for a while now. It feels like there have been moments where they're right there. This could happen. No, there's that one thing that goes where the way it's not supposed to, and this team doesn't respond quite right, and a 2016 win turns into a 23-20 loss. And I just love that you're putting that right in front of guys, in front of their faces in April, and the defense is watching the other side, go off the field jubilant and all that stuff. That drives you. That would be something you shouldn't like on April 12th or whatever it was, and you shouldn't like it for sure on October 12th. So I just thought that was a great media session all the way around. And I do think he's focused on this team, and I believe him when he says he's not worried about all the portal stuff and that. I don't care about some people are into like, oh, is that Deion Sanders he's talking about? Who cares?
That was such nonsense.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, I agree. And yeah, it's just, I thought it was a great quote by him about like, this is happening other places where it's all about what's out here. Right now, we're about what's in here. And that's the main point of that.
BC, Shane, play clip 16 from Satterfield.
I refuse to answer any medical questions. That goes to coach, but he's throwing now, and he's got a certain amount of reps he can throw, and he's doing everything he possibly can, and he's right on schedule for where he's supposed to be.
When he throws us that little carrot about Casey Thompson, because we've seen the videos, whether he's hooping or just out at practice and just throwing some other short, with passing game. How do you remember that conversation we had about where I said, Casey is the type of person that makes you uncomfortable that he's not in the game because there's no real guesswork to him. And I don't know if that's a pro or a con. With Adrian Martinez, we felt like we reached a point where it was a con because we knew what we were getting. When you look at Casey Thompson, is it a pro or a con going forward that you think we know what we're getting?
I think most fans have a positive thought about Casey.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, the whole segment's interesting because as you process it through, Casey did a lot of stuff last year that would win the hearts of a fan base. I think he played through pain, played pretty well despite not always getting consistent. Let's be real, line play in front of him. Maybe the game plan wasn't exactly ideal, where a QB just has to do it all himself. But I thought by the end of the year, there was a great respect in this fan base for like what he's about, and the thought that if you surrounded him with maybe a better run game, let's just go with that, that you could more than win with a guy like Casey. So that's what I think the public has thought about him. But then Jeff Sims is, of course, the shiny new object, and we're kind of drawn to that. And we hear Rule talk about what he can do. And it is easy to really get off into that path and think, well, that's probably the guy then, right? He brought in here for a reason. But it's a fascinating deal because Casey, you can tell they also have great respect for just how he processes some of the inner workings of football. When Rule's talking about that situational part, it's Casey standing right next to him talking through stuff. And so it's very hard to make heads or tails of it to me until we see exactly, what Casey can do when that he's allowed to throw it all over the place again.
BC, speaking of that shiny new toy, the last thing from me, I want you to help me break down the Dylan Raiola roller coaster, because it almost seems as if Husker Nation is out on the chances of bringing him here. They're seeing more. Hey, it's Georgia through and through. Do you see that as pretty much done, or should they still hold out hope?
I think there's definite momentum for Georgia from the people who, especially in our network, who have followed every turn he makes. I think the most sane thing Husker fans can do is not get upset about it or overly worried about it. Kind of track it a little bit. Who knows? It's recruiting. You keep pushing and you see what happens there. And you respect that decision however it goes. But Rule has always said from his opening press conference, and you got to drive this home to everybody sometimes, it's never going to be about one guy. And that's not to diminish that one guy or anything. He's a very talented player, and he's going to be a good player somewhere. And maybe it's here, maybe it's not. It's sort of seeming right now like it could be elsewhere. But you can't just like lose your mind because, this one guy went elsewhere. This program, I've said it for a decade, especially the last 5 years, it's going to be good or great again if they're a consistent dominant bunch up front on both sides of the ball. And the QB, of course, is going to be critical. You want him to be a very solid, smart player who doesn't turn it over a lot. But are you that team that in the fourth quarter can take a team's will up front, have a 95 rushing yards in the fourth quarter, hold them to 3 or less points? That's what's going to win in the Big Ten more than anything. And that's what they got to just keep working toward every day.
Hey, BC, real quick, a kind of a one-name answer. Before spring started, I said 3 guys that could be more than just a spring story. Booker II, Harburg, and John Bullock.
You also added Isaiah Harris.
Who of those 3 turns the most eyes on Saturday, in your opinion?
Saturday, I'll say Bullock. I think Bullock will have a huge game. I think he'll show up and make a ton of tackles. But Harburg would be very close in that answer too.
Thank you, BC.
Thanks, BC.
Thanks, guys.
Kevin Sjuts up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
I think it's all of them just being together and wanting to do it the right way, you know. We can tell them what to do, but they got to do it, right? They decide on what they want and how they want it to look. And I just commend the guys, man. They're doing a great job, you know, just living up to the standard and making sure it's like that every day.
Welcome back. That's Coach Donovan Raiola talking about how Coach Rule sets the standard, but unless the players decide they want to do it, it's not going to work out.
Famous words of Mike Tomlin, the standard is the standard.
We are back to talk to Kevin Sjuts. He's on the line now. Kevin Sjuts, sports director at 1011 Now. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Kevin, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Ready for Saturday. This is going to be fun.
Spring fatigue or just like, man, I just want to see how close, which pendulum are you closer to the direction it's going to swing?
I'm all on the man, I just want to see. And it's not just from a football perspective. You know, I just want to see Memorial Stadium filled with fans again. You know, if you think about it, last year, you know, Nebraska ended the season, they lost their last 4 games at home. There wasn't a lot of joy when Nebraska played at Memorial Stadium. Now you get a chance to go back and see the Sea of Red and get to go through all the game day things, even though it's the red-white game. And with the hiring of Coach Rule, it seems like everybody's kind of following his lead and the drums are banging again. And don't forget, you know, this year, Nebraska's schedule sets up where they start the game with back-to-back contests on the road. So if you get a chance to watch football at home, let's do it on Saturday.
Kevin, your personality seems like somebody that got really excited over the new mascot.
Oh, goodness gracious. I had to refrain from posting some things on social media. You know, like, that was wild, guys. I think they dropped it at like 10 a.m. That conversation was hot on social media, and I'm sure at the coffee shops and every other place in every corner of Nebraska for 6 straight hours, it seemed like. And can we see the guy? With our own eyes first? I don't know. There are not many universities going to do like a reveal and hype video for a mascot.
Hey, listen.
That video was sweet, though.
You guys both know my personality. I couldn't care less about mascots, but that video was sweet, though.
Was it?
I kind of thought it was cool.
Like, you know, trailer.
But Kevin, you know, I'm always like, I like to be inspired. Like, I get excited like when I watch you parent with your kids and tell funny stories about video games, man. Like, sometimes I just want to be inspired, you know?
All right. Well, if that's what inspires you, go on, DB. You know, you do you. You know,
inspire on. Thanks, Kevin.
However you want to inspire, you go for it, big guy. No, you know, like, so speaking of videos, like the university a couple of days prior to the Herbie video, they did the one with the lightning over Memorial Stadium on I believe it was Friday night. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that was awesome. I'd rather
good.
watch that 100 times over the Herbie video. That's just me.
Is it just you?
I don't think so.
It's just.
I think Kevin would have a lot of friends.
We don't need to go too much further on the Herbie discussion.
Hey, so, Kevin, let me ask you about last night with baseball. And you know, Lamo, he had been good against Nebraska the last time. I kind of silenced them and kept them at bay. They chipped away last night, then got to Creighton Stud in the bullpen, which almost never happens. Obviously, you know, bases loaded, 7th inning. Weather delay, we're not going to see it through. Did either one of those teams need that game last night?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
You know, last year they had a game that they started and didn't complete, and they just didn't even give it much of an effort to try to get that game back on the books. So it's almost like they were playing the game because it was on the schedule. They had to play it. I don't know that it was going to cut too deep for either team to lose it. As in not play the game. Of course, they were going to give it a try. I was surprised that, you know, from a baseball perspective, I was surprised. Like, Kyle Perry had been pitching really, really well. He was just a little bit inconsistent last night, and he didn't seem to have the swagger that he pitched with in his previous few outings. Because, you know, when he came in Friday against Northwestern, man, that was the KP of old. He was nodding his head. Body language was fantastic. But I thought last night maybe that's the in-state rivalry elements of that matchup, and maybe the pressure he placed on himself to try to come out and set the tone in that game.
Kevin, you watching that, you probably had to think toward the end that this has to be a joke, right? That Lightning could postpone this when the bases are loaded for the Huskers, nobody out. They're 0-3 against in-state opponents. Overcoming a midweek game has been their Achilles heel. And then the last time that these teams met at Haymarket, the game got suspended and was never finished. Like, did you ever sit back and just think, man, somebody's pulling my leg right now?
Yeah, because it's like, and of all the games that get suspended with the bases loaded, it's got to be the Creighton game, right? I really don't feel like Nebraska is wired up to say, like, listen, our season is going to be defined on how we play against in-state opponents. It means a lot to some of the guys because they know the dudes from Omaha, they know the guys from Creighton. There's history, and there's a lot of in-state products that are on all three of those teams. But in the grand scheme of things, Nebraska is not making the NCAA tournament based on how they perform against Omaha and Creighton. They need to win in the Big Ten, and they have been. And so I think so much of the energy and focus for this team here in Lincoln, it's less about these Tuesday, Wednesday games, and it's more about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they're playing well in conference. And I think that's why I feel like last night's game was maybe a little bit disposable. It's like whatever happens Tuesday, they want to win it, of course, but make sure you're ready to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because that's what really matters.
Man, I feel like 6 degrees of separation because Nebraska's got Creighton in softball, and then they've got Wisconsin, who's middle of the pack. I think they're 7-5 in the Big Ten. Nebraska trying to run down Northwestern, who we know rakes. How important is this weekend for a team that's quietly, I think, putting themselves in position to be a premier player on the college softball landscape?
Yeah, DB, you're right on. This team's playing well right now, and they've got some fun players to watch, and the Andrews sisters and the new freshman they have, Canada. They're a good team, but it feels like they're getting not much pub. And I don't know if that's because they haven't had too many weekends where they're at home. I mean, their home schedule is very light this year. I think it's like 12 games total at Bowling Stadium. And you hate for them to lose one and have it dumped because of weather. That could be tonight. They're playing Creighton, and the forecast in Lincoln in the evening is not looking too good. Mm-hmm. So, but I do think everybody's got to keep their eyes on Ron Rebel's team because they're improving game by game and week by week. And they're lurking in terms of the Big Ten, and they could make a run and make the tournament.
Yeah, it's interesting because if they hang in there against Wisconsin, you obviously want to win the series. But if you think sweep, how huge is that showdown in Evanston the weekend of the 28th? Like, you put yourself in position to run them down from behind.
Yeah, that's totally by script of what this season I think is maybe what's supposed to be for Nebraska softball. Just hang in there and then get hot at the right time. They have some players that can perform, late in the season. Look at what they did last year at the Big Ten tournament, and a lot of those girls returned. So perhaps this is another repeat of 2022 for this Nebraska softball team. I'd just like to see them get a little bit more love publicly, from some of the media outlets and fans to maybe take notice. They are so far under the radar, but maybe that's what this team wants.
I feel like that's a lot of teams in the state sometimes. I want to go back to this real fast, Kevin, before we let you go, because when I was watching the Husker Creighton baseball game yesterday, Andrew Meggs hit his first home run since last April. And the first thing I did was I turned to my fiance and I said, I love when skinny guys hit the ball 30 feet over the fence because they run as if they hit a fly ball. Like he just takes off out of the box, full sprint. Kevin, you're a skinny guy. Are you the type of guy that, once you make contact, you're just all out sprint to first base?
Well, I appreciate you calling me skinny guy. I don't know that everybody would agree with you on that, so thank you. This day is off to a fantastic start. I don't think Meg's walk-up song is I love it when you call me Big Papa. Let's say that. It's so classic. A lot of the big first basemen, they dig in and that song's playing. But, yeah, I don't hit balls too far, guys. So if I make contact, I'm sprinting no matter what.
Hey, it's low-hanging fruit with us. Kevin, it's like I'm inspired by watching you parent, and Andrew calls you skinny, man.
Yep.
We're here for you. This is your world, Kevin.
It is.
What a start to my Wednesday. Thank you for all you guys are doing.
Kevin, thanks, man.
All right, be well, guys.
Thanks.
That's Kevin Sjuts, sports director at 1011 Now. When we come back, let's get into why I think our words on this show tend to relate instantly to what's happening in the Husker football program. That's next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, hi, thanks.
You're welcome. Hey, welcome back.
Everybody's still mad over Draymond Green and hockey, non-hockey talk. How about no favorites winning last night? Is this not the NHL playoffs?
Mm-hmm. How about Grubauer owning his former team?
Not one favorite. Over last night. It's like you just the sport is
and they were all commanding wins.
Yeah, pretty much.
You had the Jets winning 5-1. Yep. You had the Rangers winning 5-1. You had the Lightning winning 7-3. And then you had the Kraken winning 3-1.
Shane, let me ask you something. Because I said this the other day.
Careful.
No, our former coworker, Josh.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Colorado Josh.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Avs.
Mm-hmm.
This was at Baxter.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of operating under the impression that the Avs, I'm a Mavericks guy, could light switch this thing. Are you concerned? Or is this like,
I was
Perseus and you're like, release the Kraken?
No, not so much with that. I prefer the Kraken and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Comparatively.
All right. Always got to overdo it. Okay.
But,
cool.
But
Shane.
But when you asked the question there, I had ran into a.
Did you ask a question there?
Just listen to me here. I'll get to what I'm saying.
Listen, don't be moved by Andrew's rudeness.
I
over
ran
here.
into a neighbor the other day on Monday,
You
and I was
run.
talking to him about because he's a Dallas fan, and I said,
Stars?
yeah, and I said to him, I said, I really wanted to have Minnesota, not Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
He said to me, no, you would rather have the other way around because of goalies. So I don't know. I'm kind of to answer your question, I don't really know. I mean, like I said, I'd rather have Minnesota than Seattle, but it is what it is.
I don't know if
They
Dallas
could
rather have Minnesota.
Yeah.
This is what this time of year does, and it's gonna.
I'll tell you what. I sat back last night and I said, I don't know if I feel comfortable about the Big Five anymore. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that pick.
Although, no, I was gonna say Toronto. I was joking.
Yep, a Big Four.
I just can't.
Colorado could light switch it though. If they get off the schneid, if they wake up, if they don't come out sluggish, if they actually play hockey, they don't give them.
I don't
chances.
know. They had a lot of chances last night, and Grubauer shut them down.
If they don't give them chances, but he's a good goalie,
and he's a great playoff goalie at that.
Yes, he is. He's clutch. Hey, speaking of which, as he kind of has shaken that narrative, were you surprised that Kershaw just got to 200? Or does 200 seem like the new milestone?
That has to be a new milestone.
It's
because that is a surprise to me. I thought he would have already been there.
It seems like more than 200, doesn't it?
Well, because he's been playing for 20 years.
Yeah, and it's like, it is. I mean, 300 is like. That's why I'm hoping, as there was zero gear shift there. That's why I'm hoping baseball and the numbers, the baseline benchmarks change, because we have to understand the evolution of the game. But historically, baseball has just been one of those sports where we compared numbers for decades, if not darn near a century, right? Like baseball is going to have to evolve, like whether it's complete games or strikeouts, or like there's just things that have changed that I think you have to look at the game differently. Now, I'm not going to say 200 is going to be the new 300, but shoot, it might. I mean, Kershaw
in today's world,
Kershaw just got to 200.
Because how many pitchers go 6 innings and have a quality start?
No, I know it's like,
but
if you do, it's like
right.
It's great.
So DB, yesterday, you know how I brought up the old leadership isn't a position, it's a way of life quote from Rule's introductory press conference.
Yes, sir.
And then Eric Crouch was at practice yesterday and was essentially encouraging every player to lead no matter the position that they were in. And I was like,
you know my affinity for EC.
Yeah.
Love him.
And so I was like, leadership. I can't believe like that got brought up like the morning after we got done talking about that.
Quinkadink.
And then, Shane, can you play Prohaska 4 for me, please?
My man Teddy.
Yeah, let me get to it here.
Theodore.
Here you go.
I mean, he'll get on us, but a lot of the stuff that we do in practice, we talk about in meetings. So if it's something that we continuously mess up, or we're going to talk about in the meetings, and he always says it's never as good as it is, or it's never as bad as you think it is. We always just stay on one level playing, and that's just kind of the mindset you have to take in the meetings and be ready to get coached.
We talked about trust, right? Trust the other day.
There you go.
And you can't have trust without us.
I see you.
We talked coaches coaching coaches, but we never really got into players coaching players, right? And Teddy's the type of guy that likes to coach up his teammates. He knows what his role is on the team. He's been playing college football for a long time now.
He's extremely mature
for
his age.
Very mature, but you have to have trust in order to do that with your players. Your players have to trust you, and you as a player have to trust the rest of your line. But that's what the O-line is kind of built on, right? It's built on that brotherhood. Yep. It's built on that camaraderie. And it's important because you're not trying to one-up your teammate and single them out. You're not trying to think that you know more than them or you know better, right? It comes from a good place, and you can only do that if there's trust. And that went back to a point that we talked about maybe a week and a half ago. And then to top it all off, DB, it was when, and we came back with it. It was the clip with BC. And this is something you're going to love. When Donovan Raiola said we play to coach rule standard, but the standard is the minimum. So coaches can tell players what to do, but they get to decide if they want to do it, right? And the first thing I thought of, and we've talked about it many times when talking buy-in and response, is what equation? E plus R
equals O. It's my favorite. An event happens. You get to respond to it. That's the E plus R. Your response equals the outcome. Only one of those things
you can control. Only one thing you control.
That's my baby. I didn't obviously coin it. I just kind of evolved into it as I've studied smart people that know how to deal with conflict resolution, which I think is big, right? Because so my staff does this thing at Westside. So there's two things that I'm known for. One of them is saying fudge, like when I'm, a little taken aback, a little discouraged, whatever. It's like my all-inclusive word. The other one is whenever we're talking, whether I'm talking to the staff or to the players, it's what's the desired outcome. Because once we establish what that is, hey, we want to run this coverage when we play Bellevue West in 3-by-1, and we'll have lots of ideas, right? Because or 2-by-2, or when they have an inline tight end, right? And I am immediately, because I think what people sometimes like to do is they like to see what somebody else has done, and they'll do it in snippets, but they're going to give up something else. So I always like to say, okay, hey, listen, I like it. All right, what's the desired outcome? Well, we want to take away this and this. All right, so then we'll pit it against huddle tape. Okay, let's look at percentages. They've only done this 7 out of the 32 times that they've lined up like this. Is this something that we feel like we need to incorporate, or is this just what they did against them? Right? Like, those are the things that we do. If you tell me, hey, let's do such and such and such and such on the show. Oh, okay, sounds cool. What do you want to get out of that? Like, what's the desired outcome? Hey, you're leaving. You're going out of town for a wedding. Is there anything you want to do? Like, what do you want the outcome to be before you go? Because that typically lets me know at least where we're headed, or if we're on the same page.
Right.
My response to that, if you can go in order, it's perfect. You can't ever pick the event. Usually the event happens, and then it's the R, and then it's the outcome.
Right.
Ideally, like if you're doing critical thinking, you want to say, okay, and you have the opportunity. Well, what do I want? You want to start with the outcome. That's how you coach. The outcome, this is where we want to be. Okay, so how do I need to respond, or how do I need to act to get that desired outcome? But it doesn't always happen like that. So real time with players correcting players, we've gotten away from it. And I don't have Facebook, but a couple of my buddies said, hey, did you see a response from one of your players' parents that you coach? And I go, no, I didn't see it. I don't have Facebook. So they screenshot it to me. Right. And it was Christian Jones' dad basically giving me a little love for coaching Christian hard and getting the desired outcome. Right. And I say all that to say, when you're in it, like when there's conflict and you're in the day to day, if you just ask yourself, self-awareness, what's the desired outcome? I'm telling you, it can control your behavior. It can, right? But you have to be willing to ask it.
Attitude, action, work ethic, all controlled under that R.
And that's really what they're trying to practice daily. Now, that's going to be a grind. It's not going to be for everybody.
And we've already found out that it's not for everybody.
It's not going to be for everybody.
When we come back, we'll change gears. Talk college baseball with Kendall Rogers. He's next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Opening game and then struggling games 2 and 3 as that's rolled back to Matthews. Scoops and then over the first in time for the double play. That's hit sharply through the hole on the right side, rounding third. Here comes Cervantes. Cervantes in there to tie it up at 4.
That game may have been cut short, but I can promise you this interview won't. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers. We're live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Happy to welcome in Kendall Rogers with one of the best last names around, managing editor for D1 Baseball at Kendall Rogers on Twitter. Kendall, what's up, man?
Oh, doing well. How about you guys? Long time no talk.
Yeah, K-Rod, what's up, buddy, man? How you been besides holding it down on social media, being like the information guru?
Well, it's kind of weird to say, but like we're past the halfway point, and it feels like Omaha's going like 2 months away, which it is. So it should be interesting, man. I tell you what, it's kind of interesting when you look at the landscape of college baseball right now, and especially like the Big Ten, and just trying to size up like how that league's going to unfold. You know, with Nebraska, Iowa, Maryland, Rutgers, and Michigan State's having a really nice year. So I think the way the Big Ten is going to shape up is going to be really interesting.
I was telling Andrew the KR haterade on the Twitter account, as I followed you for years, is so you and so funny. Like, you have to just kind of be in the deal. I got to start by saying, before I get to the Big Ten Conference, where'd that come from? Is it just the vitriol of online banter?
I think so. You know, it's kind of funny. Like, a lot of people in this industry like get all touchy about people coming after them on Twitter. I kind of view it the other way. I kind of view it as like, hey, if people care enough about college baseball to kind of go after you on Twitter, that means they like your sport. That's helping your sport. So, hey, you know what? If you have passion for the sport, I'll respond to you and have some fun with you. So, I learned a long time ago you don't take Twitter too seriously. I think a lot of people should subscribe to that theory.
Says the guy with 125,000 followers.
Hey, you're close. You're getting there, DB.
Oh,
gotta take them up.
Shoot,
Kendall.
Hey, I'm no Damon Benning, man.
Here we go.
Kendall, bigger midweek blunder relative to the opponent and where the team is either ranked or how they're doing this year. Tennessee Tech over Tennessee or Indiana State over Vandy?
I would say Tennessee. I mean, I think Indiana State's a pretty good team. I mean, if you look at Mitch Hannes and the job they've done there over the last few years, I mean, they're not a flash in the pan. Like, they're pretty consistently good. And so I think when I look at those midweek losses, Tennessee's the one that's more alarming. I mean, you're talking about a team now that, you know, after last night, they dropped 16 spots in the RPI. They're down to, I think, 39 in the RPI this morning. They're 5-10 in the SEC. So you're talking about a team that was a preseason national championship favorite that is now just, like, hoping to stay above water and just make the NCAA tournament. It's really shocking when you look at what they went from last year or have gone from last year to this year. And it's not like they've lost everybody. I mean, yeah, they lost some hitters, but, like, you know, all three of their best pitchers are back. There's like three of their top four relievers are back. It's just been a really bad season for them. And, you know, you kind of expect Tennessee to kind of turn on the Jets a little bit at some point. But, I mean, at some point you are who you are, right? And we're in week 10 and they're still having the same issue they were having in week 1.
Hey, look, I'll stay right there just because it's low-hanging fruit, and let's go ahead and pick that thing. Tony Vitello, very volatile, super polarizing.
Yeah.
You and we've talked on air about the meltdowns a couple of years ago with Tennessee when they were here in CWS. Has the luster wore off? Is Vitello the guy whose act can wear thin if he's not winning enough?
Probably, but you know, to give Tony credit, you know, and trust me, with his antics last year, I didn't give him much credit.
But he's coming off a suspension.
To give Tony credit, like he's been a different guy this year, and I think a lot of that is I think the SEC put the clamp down on it, but he has had a much different attitude this year. So I don't necessarily think it's, you know, something to get him in trouble. But I mean, that's the other thing about Tennessee is if you look at their club personality. You know, last year they were loud, boisterous, you know, almost, well, they were in your face. They were overbearing. And frankly, when you look at this team, and it's a little different when you're winning versus when you're losing, but this team, even when they were winning earlier in the year, was a much different personality. It was not an in-your-face kind of culture. And so I think, you know, just having a different type of team personality-wise has been a pretty big difference for this club.
Hey, Kendall, we led off the show talking about Draymond and the reaction and the suspension, and I want to ask you about Brandon Neely coming off the mound. He was pumped up, just made the big pitch, took a peek at the Georgia dugout, said something like, you know, come on, and got rewarded by getting tossed plus a 4-game suspension. Now, every umpire is different, but is that really the level we want to be stooping to? Like, what's the solution here?
Well, I think the solution is to have different suspensions for different degrees of ejections. For instance, in football, we recalibrated the targeting rules and said, hey, we have, degrees of targeting. And I think when you look at suspensions in college baseball, you look at it the same way. Like, there's a big difference between, Jordan Beck last year, giving somebody the bird versus a guy yelling, let's go, and just glaring at the dugout. Like, I don't feel like those two things are equal. And in the eyes of the NCAA, they are equal. So I think we could just start by, making these suspensions have degrees of, severity.
Let me ask you about, because there's a new power in the ACC. You know me, I'm a diehard Carolina Blue guy, and we've seen runs from NC State, North Carolina, Virginia. But the Deeks are here, and they're here because they have some tremendous arms, obviously led by Louder. But when you look at that staff as a whole, that team ERA, what would you liken them to, knowing good and well then? And we saw what they did against Louisville at Louisville. Like, they're pretty for real for you?
They're very for real. I mean, the thing that's scary about Wake Forest is, I would say their second best pitcher in Teddy McGraw has been hurt all year. Like, he's not even going to pitch this year. So the fact that they pitched at the level they have, Sean Sullivan certainly stepped up for him. You look at Seth Keener. Yeah, Josh Hartle. I mean, he was one of the, what he's doing isn't that surprising because he was one of the top freshmen in college baseball talent-wise last year. Obviously, he was a little bit, had a little bit of a seesaw season like a lot of freshmen. But, I mean, they're loaded. They're deep on the mound. And then offensively, I mean, that Louisville series, they didn't even have Nick Kurtz, a first-team All-American, in their lineup. And they still went on the road and took care of business against Louisville. So, they're just a really deep team, and that coaching staff just made some outstanding recruiting evaluations, 3 or 4 years ago.
Kendall, I want to talk about Wake Forest, or should I say Rake Forest, as I
there you
spoke about with DB earlier. I mean, they've been deacons. Should I keep going?
No, we were just talking about them. No.
Hey, top 15 in home runs, but where they really thrive is on the mound. Leading the country in ERA, strike to walk ratio, whip. What's it about the tandem there that has and will make them so dangerous as the season progresses?
Well, I think the biggest thing is their depth. I mean, we just talked about the three starters, but, Seth Keeney's been really good. I haven't even talked about the back end of the bullpen with Cam Minacci. You talk about the best relievers in the country, again, and All-American. So when you have three big-time starters like they have, and frankly, they've got like a really solid fourth starter, and then you can go to the back end of the bullpen and shut people down too, I mean, that's an absolute game changer. So I just think, again, you can make a very legit argument right now that they are the most complete team in college baseball. It may not be LSU.
Kendall, hold on. I want to take a moment and apologize. I don't know where my head was at over the last 2 minutes.
It's okay.
I asked the double.
That's okay. I was wondering. I was like, hey, I like Wake Forest too. Maybe we need to talk about it the third time.
Let me ask you something, and not so much the hire in terms of a Big Ten commissioner with Petiti and what's going to happen with his baseball background. But, man, you and I have talked about this for years. Where were you with the expectations of when Nebraska entered the Big Ten in terms of baseball versus what you saw from Michigan? We've seen it a little from Illinois versus where they are in 2023. Should they be next leveling this thing yet, or where are you with Big Ten baseball?
I actually would argue the Big Ten's got much better. I mean, I think if you look at this league overall, I think right now, there's like 6 teams in the mix for a postseason spot. I think 6 or 7 years ago, that was not the case. Like, you did not have 6 or 7 teams in the mix for a regional every single year. So I think the league has gotten better. Obviously, there are still constraints with this conference, but the league has certainly gotten better. You're starting to see, more and more teams put money in facilities. They're hiring better coaching staff. They're getting more talent. So I'm seeing improvement. I mean, today, to give you a little sneak peek, I mean, we'll have Indiana as a top 16 regional host And that's just, again, kind of an example of how this league has gotten better. Indiana has kind of gotten back on track this year under Jeff Mercer.
Kendall, how much has Bryce Matthews at Nebraska helped his case in flying up the draft boards?
Yeah, it certainly has helped. And frankly, Nebraska is a really an odd team from a resume standpoint, and not to just like your question and turn it around. But, if you look at Nebraska overall, this is a team that, they went out and actually played, pretty decent non-conference competition. They won a lot of those games. I get it. They had a little hiccup against San Diego, but I mean, they put together a pretty decent resume. They've done a nice job in conference, and yet the RPI is like 114 or something. It's just a very odd deal to have a season like Nebraska's having, and you pretty much have to win the Big Ten tournament. With that said, you mentioned Bryce and some other guys. I mean, this is a good baseball team. This is a really, really solid baseball team. So I would love for them to find a way to get in the postseason. I think they're a good team that, just the RPI is not their friend this year.
So let's talk, right? We've seen Michael Roth and we've seen the Gamecocks. We've talked about their prowess in Omaha, and we wondered out loud, if we're being honest, a couple years ago about Ray Tanner. And now all of a sudden, lo and behold, here come the Gamecocks, and they appear to be for real. Is it a momentary stay of execution, or were we just impatient in the time being?
There's no doubt this program took a step back the last few years. I mean, I don't think anybody in this industry would say, oh, that program is in great shape. I mean, they weren't very good last year. And what they did, what South Carolina did, and this is kind of what Arizona State did as well, is South Carolina followed the A&M model of last year, where they went out in the portal. They got accomplished older hitters at different mid-major programs and whatnot. They brought them in, and so all of a sudden, I mean, they have really talented young players like Ethan Petrie. They also have a lot of experience in their lineup and a lot of experience on their pitching staff. So you combine that with guys like Petrie, and you combine that with guys like Noah Hall and Kate Austin and Will Sanders, that's a really good recipe for success. So, I mean, they're really good. I mean, I would argue from watching them several times this year, they're just as good as Wake and LSU right now. And it's a testament to Mark Kingston. It's kind of funny. Like, South Carolina fans, just eviscerated that guy last year, wanted him fired. And again, I don't blame him for being disappointed, but some of the tweets I saw directed at Kingston were just unbelievably ridiculous. And all of a sudden, everybody loves him. So I actually give Mark credit, along with Nick Mintione at Kentucky. These are two guys that came into the season very much on the hot seat, and both of those guys are very much not on the hot seat right now.
Hey, say the season was ending today and the rankings, as they sat, were what we were going to see going into regional play and things like that. LSU, not only the best team in the country, but have the best player in the country in Dylan Cruz. Are you better question. I'm gonna change what my whole thought was here. Are they your team to win it all this year in Omaha right now, or do you envision them having a Tennessee type collapse?
I don't know if collapse is the right word for LSU, but what I will say about LSU guys is I have concerns. I think, obviously, I feel really good about LSU anytime Paul Skeens is on the mound for them. But I'll be really honest with you. Outside of Paul Skeens, I don't have a lot of faith in the rotation. Ty Floyd has been very erratic at times. The Sunday spot has been kind of a revolving door between Dr. Hurd and Christian Little and some other guys. And so for LSU, they're one of those teams that if they lose a game in a regional, they are in big trouble. I think they can manage a super, but if they lose a game in a regional, they are in massive trouble. So I actually feel Forest and Florida and South Carolina, maybe even Vanderbilt, than I do about LSU long term right now. And that's saying something considering their lineup. But they've got to figure out their issues on the mound. They've got to figure out what they're missing on the mound. Because if they don't, I could very easily see them not making it to Omaha. It would not even be a surprise to me.
Hey, so I got to take advantage of it because I don't just want to talk about the top. If we get a guy that can get in the weeds, I want to get in the weeds a little bit. So I'll leave East Carolina out of it because they've been good. That's been a good program for a while, even though it's East Carolina. Coastal Carolina has been there, done that on the biggest stage. But between Coastal, Campbell, East Carolina, and UConn, if you're going to come from off the grid down the stretch, which of those teams do you like to make deep runs?
Yeah, you know what? East Carolina is a team that I really like right now. You know, they're starting to figure things out offensively. You know, I saw them a few weeks ago against Houston. They weren't very offensive. They started to figure that out. And I think the big differentiator with ECU this year versus previous seasons is they've got a big-time weekend rotation. They kind of lagged pitching in the past, at least pitching depth in the past. And this is a team that, you know, Trey Savage on Friday nights is one of the best pitchers in college baseball. Absolutely love that guy. He's going to be a top 5 to 10 pick next year in the draft. Josh Gross has done a really nice job in the rotation. And then they have the reigning American pitcher of the year, Kurt Spivey, in that rotation as well. So East Carolina has a really good pitching staff. As you guys well know, that is the recipe to get to Omaha. I would say the other team for me is Coastal Carolina. They're a little bit opposite of East Carolina. They've got some question marks on the mound. Matthew Potock's a really nice Friday guy, but like other than him, they've got some questions on the mound. But I think the biggest thing with Coastal is, you know, if you look at, you know, Peyton Hills, Derek Bender, they can really, really hit. And they're a scary club right now. It's good to see Garrett Gilmore's team back on track.
We're talking to Kendall Rogers, managing editor for D1 Baseball at Kendall Rogers on Twitter. 5 new teams in the top 25 this week, Kendall. Miami, Oregon State, Oregon, Southern Miss, good team, and UTSA. I want to focus on one, though, and that's Miami. Not only did they make their way in, but they jumped instantly up to 17 after being not rated. Now, their one problem, they're kind of like Golden State in this regard. They can't win on the road. Do you think they have the look of an Omaha team?
Well, the big question with Miami is on the mound. I mean, obviously, if you look at, their pitching, the big key for me is Alejandro Rosario. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's, up in 96, 98, can be a little bit erratic on the mound, but he's a supreme talent, right? CJ Kafis is such a talented player offensively. Yo-Yo Morales is one of the best players in college baseball. But again, with Miami, they're a little bit up and down on the mound for me. And that to me is just not the recipe to get to Omaha. So I think the big key for them is just establishing more, positive consistency on the mound.
All right, let me get you out of here on this just because, it's Brian O'Connor. Virginia back?
They certainly seem like it. I know they kind of stubbed their toe a little bit lately, but when you look at that, rotation with guys like Nick Parker and Ron Eddington, and you look at, their offense with Kyle Teal, they definitely got a lot of balance. They're one of those teams that, I think the step down from Wake Forest to Virginia is sizable, but I still think Virginia is very much a top 8 type of club. He's done a really nice job this year because, I thought when you look at their personnel coming into the season, I looked at Virginia as a team that, okay, I feel pretty good about their offense, but, man, their rotation just does not look star-studded. It doesn't look like they're going to shut people down. And really, until the last couple of weeks, they were able to shut people down. So, they need to get a bounce back. But this is still a really good baseball team.
Kendall, I want to sneak one more in if I can. There's a new recruiting calendar which goes into effect April 26th. You reported on it. Can you explain what that means for teams and how this move enhances college baseball recruiting for the future?
Good call.
Yeah, it's going to be a great thing for college baseball. If you're a travel ball coach, I don't like lumping all travel ball people together, but there are some organizations out there that make their living on convincing a 13-year-old kid that, come play with us and you'll get a college scholarship. And the days of college programs looking at 13 and 14-year-olds in baseball and extending those offers consistently like they have in the past, I think they're over. So I think what schools are going to do is they're going to focus more of their efforts towards the portal. They're going to focus their efforts more towards the older guys. And, I'm just a strong believer that college baseball coaches should not be committing 8th graders. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I think about it like this real quick. I think about the way I was when I was in 8th grade, and there is not a chance in heck that I had any business making a decision for the rest of my life at that point in my life.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I can't wait to see it, buddy. You never disappoint. One of the best in the business.
Dude, it's good talking to you guys.
Yep.
Hey, thanks, Kendall.
Appreciate you, Kendall.
Hey, Stas, have a good one.
Thanks.
Kendall Rogers, managing editor for D1 Baseball at Kendall Rogers, once again on Twitter. 8th grade. Can you imagine being recruited in 8th grade?
Yeah, there's Kyle Fountain.
I mean, you're
There's
Bryce Harper.
There's a couple guys around here.
Right.
Cole Eaton. There are some guys that
Was Boehm recruited in 8th grade?
No. So Boehm took the long way, right? Like he was a guy that transferred, played at a couple different high schools, found his groove. But there's a couple young guys. Cole Eaton, who was out at Elkhorn South, ended up getting offered by Tennessee as a freshman. I used to coach him in football.
He must be pretty good to
love his family. Fountain, who's out at Norris. Some of these guys that get these early offers, baseball is hard though. So, and it's funny because somebody just sent me this DM. It's my guy Andy. Just sent me this DM on Twitter. And he said, man, I love to hear you talk about baseball. I hear your passion, you're detailed, whatever, because, we were going back and forth. And he said, do you ever regret not getting your kids in baseball? And then he followed up with maybe regret is too strong of a word. And I said, well, if I'm being honest, and he's my guy, right? Like I've known him since high school. So I can be honest, right? I said, I kind of regret it, right? Like Caleb used to do Hosey's Heroes with this guy, Dwayne Hosey, and great pro player. And, and baseball is the one thing that I know I could teach them where I feel like they would have gotten better. Football is kind of a crapshoot. Basketball is a no-go. Wrestling got a chance, but like I wanted them to play baseball. The reason that I think baseball is so difficult is because I think it's the hardest of the true skilled team sports. It's harder than football. It's more difficult than basketball. You just can't rally around one guy. You just can't do one thing. Let's say you can only hit fastballs or you can only throw hard. Like you just can't function in baseball. It's a brutal sport.
Yeah, you need to be unique.
And there's so much downtime in between plays and sequences. It's hard, man. So like I love talking about it because my appreciation for it. Like if you talk reverence, it's wrestling and baseball. Two sports that I think are and maybe
Can you do backflips in baseball without getting knocked?
And maybe I'm a little jaded in football because I think it's a little easier. But those two sports, baseball and wrestling, better be real or you're not doing it.
Great interview with Kendall Rogers. Go back and listen on the podcast if you missed it. More CNC next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Yeah, we got a lot. We threw a lot at them. That was the plan, just to throw a lot of stuff at these guys, see what they can handle, force them to take notes, learn a lot of stuff on their own, with their peers at night, and then coming in here for meetings and picking up where they leave off. So, we do have a lot of stuff in, and we're anxious to get out there and show what we got on Saturday.
Coach Satterfield referencing really everybody on offense, but focusing a lot there on the quarterbacks too. Will they respond by studying together and leaning on one another, or will they respond by cheating themselves, causing setbacks? That's the ultimate question. But when you lean on somebody, you should lean on a big brother or a big sister, because their mission is to support one-on-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. Big brothers, big sisters is one of the best ways to create a positive relationship with somebody that you could really make an impact on. It has direct and measurable impact on that child's life. By partnering with parents and guardians, volunteers, and other community, big brothers, big sisters are, or I should say little brothers and sisters are more likely to maintain or improve their emotions, decrease risky behaviors, improve their confidence in school, and maintain or improve their grades. Go to mentoromaha.org to sign up today. Also, if you are in need of some new Husker gear, why don't you check out alumnihall.com, or you can go to one of their stores. 2 stores in Lincoln, P Street downtown, South Point Pavilions as well. It's the ultimate shopping experience. You can choose from Adidas, Champion, Columbia, brands, I should say, plus gifts, accessories, and all your tailgating needs. Go to alumnihall.com. And, you're going to need a tailgate whenever you want to watch this team play. Are there tailgates for the spring game?
Oh, yeah. It'll be mob deep. I don't even know what time I'm getting there. So I want to get back in time. It's maybe a pipe dream, but Caleb plays. It's the Adidas Invite, right? 3SSB.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge national tournament. It's obviously it's coaches. It's a live period, so they'll be in to recruit. And I want to get back for his 4:40 tip. Can I get back for a 1 o'clock game? Which the window for BTN, which was a whole nother headache, which to do, radio, BTN.
3?
It's a 3 o'clock window.
Okay.
So let's say it takes me 50 minutes to get out of there.
Okay.
Which it probably will. I should be able to get back by 4:40. Yes? No?
Yeah. You can't get stopped.
They got a brutal.
You can't get stopped.
They got a brutal schedule. It's going to be a fantastic tournament. So if you get out, you want to go to the field house, check out some really high quality basketball, the best in the country that aren't playing on the EYBL, which is the other aforementioned shoe circuit. Nike. We don't talk about.
Nope.
But yeah, what's that, Shane?
NOPE. Nope.
I was just agreeing you can't make stops. Can't
No,
have
I
small chat
won't.
on the way.
So
to
I
the
was
car, all
tempted.
that.
I don't know if you were on our work call yesterday early enough, but I told Sasha, who's coming down, because they're obviously covering it.
Right.
With Hurrdat Sports, I was like, man, I'm tempted to park off campus, have Sasha scoop me or somebody just drop me off, and then I'll walk to my car.
Funny story. I went to
just to have a head start.
I went to a game to cover. It was the Iowa-Nebraska game back in 2019. It was the one before the pandemic. Would that have been 19?
Yeah.
It was when Keith Duncan hit the game-winning field goal.
Blowing kisses.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Hey, was that bad sportsmanship?
Yeah. Yeah, it was super bad.
And was he in trouble like Reese?
No, he was not in trouble.
Oh, it was cool. It was cool.
It wasn't directed to one player.
Oh, the caveat.
It was directed to the fans.
My bad. Not the bench either, as he was doing it, running around like an idiot. But hey.
Yeah, there are rules to celebrations, and that's one.
I forgot that. To the victor goes the spoils, but only specifics when you can celebrate.
So I parked my car at the Wendy's in Lincoln because I didn't have
14th?
enough. I didn't have enough
Downtown?
cash to cover myself in a garage.
Yeah,
and the media lot was packed by the time I got there. I mean, I didn't realize people got there.
That's not a bad walk, though.
Super early.
See, what I would be afraid,
but I was carrying all my equipment.
I would be afraid to walk that far in public. Like I would.
But I paid Wendy's to keep my car there so it wouldn't get towed.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
because it's 4 blocks.
I think I gave him $15.
$4 or 4 blocks, right? Roughly. Cut through the back.
Was
of
that
the
something they
campus.
were doing, like on their own?
So I could say
Wendy's.
Yeah.
No, I walked in, spoke to a manager, and said, "Hey, this game's about to start. Like, I need to park my car here. Can I pay you?
That's actually pretty
because I don't
cool.
have enough money to get into the garage." And they were like, "Yeah." So I gave them the money, and I walked over to the game.
Oh, I would do that every day that ends in Y. I wish I could helicopter, but that's kind of spoiled. A little prima donna-ish.
You're gonna land,
but I just want to
at
get back. I just
midfield.
want to get back.
Wouldn't be,
And
I wouldn't be shocked if Solich gets landed at midfield.
Oh, so we gotta. I'm excited about that. I'm going extra early for him. Missing the 10-10 game. I wouldn't make it anyway, right? 10-10. You're on the road. I'm in traffic. But
yeah.
I am.
You probably have to get there fairly early too for the broadcast.
I'm extremely excited about Coach Solich.
Well, and the good thing is you are going early, so you won't get stopped on the way out by Solich, unless you do, and then you will be late too.
Hey, so
Caleb's game.
What's your expectation level for what he does?
Solich?
Yeah.
In regards to like what they're going to have him do when he's there?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that they have him like speak to the team before the spring game.
First time I heard that. That's cool. Okay.
I don't think they're going to give him a microphone and just have him talk, but
during the spring game?
Yeah, but they could, I guess. I just don't know if he'd be the guy to do that.
Shane, what's your expectation level? What should Coach Solich do when they honor him? Because
Are they going to do it before or in the middle? I mean, have they set that schedule yet? I don't know.
Shane?
What?
It's an easy question.
I think what they're going to do is
Do you
it's
want-
going to
do-
be
do-
like a military homecoming.
Do
They're
you
gonna
want him
show
to
him
talk
on the
to
field?
you? Do you want him to talk to you? Do you want him to grab the mic and talk?
I'm sure people do, but I don't think he will want to.
Do you expect him to?
No. I'm going to say it's going to be something where they show like highlights of Coach Solich on the board. Then they're going to show him and his family, and it's going to be like almost like somebody else talking. Whoever the PA announcer is, it Nate? Is it Nate Rourke going to do it?
I'm not sure.
Will he be down on the field? Will he be up in the press box?
He will be down on the field.
He will be on the field being honored, but there's going to be a video beforehand and just him being shown.
Okay. I would say I would like to hear. I would love to have him talk. I mean, if you could get him talking for a couple minutes, nothing long.
It's going to be interesting.
You would have to have somebody down there.
What do you think?
You would have to have somebody down there that could facilitate it that he would trust.
Like my gut feel is he'd have to do you a solid. Like he'd be doing you a favor. And I hate to say that because he doesn't think he's better than anyone. But you got to realize how uncomfortable he is from the get-go. So he'd have to say, okay, this isn't really me, but I'll do it for you. Like he'd have to do you a solid. Because I just don't think he wants to grab the mic and talk.
Could he get lost in the moment?
He will,
like NF?
My gut,
he
will be overwhelmed.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to see.
That's why I don't think they're going to make him talk.
But it's complicated because let's be honest. If you're Coach Solich, what's your feel for the state of Nebraska and the university if you're him? Not if you're 19 years removed, but if you're him. All that he went through, rumors, the innuendos, the
everything.
The everything. Well, like what from a human standpoint, what do you expect? So whatever that is, I think you kind of.
I think it's whatever his personality is, and you would know that best over anything.
Because you're happy enough to get him there, so you won't make him uncomfortable.
I think that's what it is. Because when I got honored,
I'm torn.
When I got honored for my Emmy, I went up there I wasn't working at that station anymore. Like I had gotten out of the news. They rubbed me the wrong way. It was kind of like not like totally similar to what Coach Solich went through, but everybody has a moment like that in life.
Was this the same place that you talked a couple weeks ago about the bad hiring process? Okay.
Yep.
So there was some ill will.
Yep, there was some ill will. I won the Emmy under that station name. So I had to go up and speak. My personality is I'm not going to talk bad about that. Like that's just not who I am. Even though I wanted to, I'm a big talker when the mic's not in front of me, but when it's on me, I'm going to keep it professional. I'm going to keep it just very basic. I don't think Solich has that personality of, hey, he's going to be able to do that.
God, I'm curious, and I'm certain.
But I don't know him. I don't know the guy. I just kind of base all of that judgment off of what you tell me.
I'm not going to betray our relationship and be like, hey, what are you going to do? But I am curious.
Me too. 2 for you next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Coffee and Cream. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning. Now one of Damon's favorite games and one of Shane's favorite games.
Is this the game where I have to write stuff down?
Well, maybe not so much Shane.
Yes, Shane. This would be the game.
Yes, it's 2 for you.
All right, let's do it.
Wow. The game where we'll try to win you a lot of, free gift cards.
Yeah, loaded
$40
cash at Hail Varsity.
$40 worth. Like you heard the open, which is fantastic. Glad Andrew and Shane put that thing together. But in case we're worried about Shane and some personal injury from him giving such bad answers for 2 for you, you need to call Dyer Law at 402-393-7529. If you're looking for trusted professionals that can really take care of you. I just was on Arbor Street the other day. That's their Omaha location, about 117th and Arbor. So they're local and they are here for you. I mean, trusted professionals, personal injury and liability. They're here for you, and that's Dyer Law. And as he's kind of giving those dings, personal injury, it may or may not have happened in a car accident.
Oh,
and if it did, just make sure you stop on over and see the fine folks at Dingman's Collision, family owned and operated. You're talking about over 25 years in the community. When you're doing it that long, you're probably pretty good at what you do. They've worked on 2 of our vehicles, fortunately, unfortunately. But you're, again, along the lines of trusted professionals, you got Dingman's Collision.
Well, and make sure that you never, and I mean ever, drink and drive, especially if you are taking in some Zipline beers, because that's our favorite here on the show. And you can go to their Beer Hall South Lincoln location, which is their take on a classic German beer hall where the community comes together to share their days over a common table. They stress community connection, offering yoga, which is DB's favorite, and interactive games of all kinds.
Not very flexible.
Oh, no? Not too much?
I'm trying. Unlike Draymond Green, who told you he wasn't very flexible, which is why he stomped on a guy's chest.
Let's play the game. 888-638-4876. If you want to win, we'll play without you, but we'd rather give something away in the meantime. I feel
like a penguin
inclined to have DB and Shane go first.
Why?
Because I think you guys are great.
Because you think Shane is funny. No. Shane, I think it's all to make fun of you.
No, and I have
But
a great.
I'm not that flexible.
I put a great prompt together that will fit Shane, at least on this very first one.
All right, Shane, you ready?
Okay, all right.
Hey, guys.
Do we have to get Trent on the line there?
Oh, is he here?
Yeah, well, how would we know? I'm Helen Keller.
Should I call Trent?
Was there Braille on this call
to action?
Because
Trent,
I can't
call
see.
us. Is he here?
Is Helen Keller doing too
He's
much?
not here.
Well, maybe it disappeared when I had to reboot that. I didn't know.
So he's on?
Yeah, Trent's here.
Can you bring him in?
Yeah, he's here.
Trent, are you here?
I am on.
Shane, what is happening,
Shane,
man?
listen.
I can't see.
And how am I supposed to know you can't see?
You Stevie Wonder 90% of the time?
I can't hear.
Well, that's a lie.
Because rumor has it he can actually see.
Hey,
so if that's the case, why would your hair?
Okay, so
no, we're not even. We're gonna let Trent pick now. Now that I know we have a caller, I couldn't see, man.
Okay,
I'm
Adam
sorry.
Wainwright.
Oh, 195. Hey,
close to 200.
Hey, Trent, who do you want to play?
I want DB and Andrew to make me some money.
All right.
Let's get him some money.
Oh, you ready, DB?
Yeah. Stretching.
Okay.
Shane, you're off the hook.
A female country singer.
Really?
I'm ready.
He's Trent. He doesn't like you. A female country singer, really? Okay.
That's what I said, right?
All right.
Do you know astrology, DB?
I sleep and eat it.
Like one of the 4 elements? Like, is that a fair thing that you would know?
Sure.
Okay. One of the 4 elements in astrology.
No.
Do you want me to name the 4 elements?
Yeah. What a stupid question.
Like, was that a dumb question?
Like, what's wrong with you?
There's 4 of them. All right. Fire, earth, air, and water.
Trent, he clearly does not want you to win. All right.
Yeah, these are brutal today.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yep. I got it.
A body part on your face.
Oh, my gosh. Trent, it's over. Sorry for the call.
Something that rhymes with ball.
Something that rhymes with ball?
Ball.
B-A-L-L. Oh, boy. Okay, buddy.
Hey, you ready?
It's the most ridiculous line of questions yet. That's okay. You were
you might surprise me.
lights out.
It's all right. It hasn't been my day today.
Trent, where's your level of confidence with the ridiculousness of these questions?
You know, it's I think this might be one of those days where it's like the questions sound hard, but you might surprise yourself with. You know?
Yeah, DB, come on.
Okay.
Be confident. A female country singer. Shane, count us down.
Can I give you my answers too?
No.
Why can't he?
You can do it after you count us down.
Okay, all right.
Stickler.
3, 2, 1.
Terry
Wynette.
I was going to say Reba.
Yeah, that could work too.
We're in trouble.
One of the 4 elements of astrology.
3, 2, 1.
Fire.
I was saying water.
We're all on the same page.
Trent, I'm just telling you.
A body part on your face.
3, 2, 1.
Nose.
I said boob.
What?
Wait, what?
Who has a boob on their face?
Oh, no, he means.
Oh, you want them on
Yes, that's exactly what he means.
What a weirdo.
Oh my God.
Trent goes, what?
I said boob.
Oh my gosh.
No, the questions were terrible, but Shane is still funny. Like, who says that? You know the fun. Listen, we're burying the lead. Do you know the funniest thing about that? He answered as though it was normal. I said boo.
And then he moved on. He moved right on.
Like no big deal.
Isn't that normal?
No. Not everybody's 4'8".
Fair. Maybe this last prompt can relate to Shane too. Something that rhymes with ball.
3, 2, 1.
Tall. Wow.
I said
0 for
4.
Should have had boob. You've been fine.
Trent, I'm sorry, but
Trent, man, sorry, man.
I feel like our partner.
Hey, don't blame the questions.
Good hearing your guys' voices.
Thanks,
Trent,
buddy.
you're the man.
Appreciate you.
Don't blame the questions.
Don't blame Shane.
This is like Ross and Friends. Don't blame the questions.
Bro, really?
I like to keep it real. Like, I'm trying to change things up, make it a little fun, make it a little dangerous sometimes. I don't want to reuse prompts. I try not to.
Dude said boob.
No, we're back on that. That's okay.
Because
We'll go right back.
first of all, who really uses that word?
Shane.
I mean, let's in the normal everyday lexicon.
No, I would use a different word.
Like, who says that? And then he said, not what you'd like to have on your face. He said, what's on a body part on your face.
Oh, come on, Shane.
Nice work, Shane.
And there's zero shame in his game.
Yeah, he just doesn't care.
Nope.
Hey, he knows himself. I like that.
Quietly, Shane.
I like that boulder. That's a nice boulder. Let's play again. Let's play again.
Are we gonna act like he really just didn't say that?
No, we laughed about it. We've talked about it. We've acknowledged it. But I want you two to play now.
Oh Lord.
Hey, Amazing Daniel and I would have tied. We would have gotten 2. Well, I shouldn't say tied. AD.
Okay, we got to roll then.
Hey,
if you do it quick.
Can you not yell at me?
Everybody's crabbing
Hey,
today.
a Matt Rule drop that we use on the show.
That's what we're doing it right now?
Yep.
Okay, got it.
I got to do one that Shane can relate to. Live, laugh, or love.
Live, laugh, or love.
Okay.
A Starburst flavor.
I don't know. I don't know what those are. But we'll just say sure.
You're an idiot.
And a team in the NBA playoffs.
Okay.
All right, Shane, how much time do we have?
About a minute.
We'll muscle through it.
Okay.
Appreciate you putting the clock up there, buddy.
It is. It's right there. I'd have to go out there and reset that thing. I mean, I could come out there and do it.
Yeah, will you?
I'm going to lose my mind. Let's go.
Hey, a Matt Rule drop. 3, 2, 1.
Iron sharpens iron.
That's what I had.
Well
DB
done.
rolls his eyes at me, and then they get it right. Yep. Live, laugh, or love. 3, 2, 1. Live. Same.
Wow. Okay.
A Starburst flavor. 3, 2, 1.
Strawberry.
Same thing. And a team in the NBA playoffs. 3, 2, 1.
Lakers.
Lakers.
That's my team. I don't give a rat's ass about the Lakers.
Shane, that's the wrong answer.
He was a little crabby gremlin today. It all started with the first hour.
Shane, just go put a boob on your face.
Dude,
All right.
I mean, we've had some bad ones. That nobody's saying that. Like, he is the same dude that said merry-go-round once.
He did. That is absolutely correct. It was something you ride.
No, a piece
Right?
of playground equipment.
Oh, playground equipment. That's what
Yeah.
it was. Thank goodness you have a big brain. My brain's a little tiny.
This dude said, okay, Shane.
Hey, have a good time when I'm gone.
Yeah, we'll try. If I don't kill our producer.
See you later.